Hello, my name is Lexi, and today I'm going to talk about the natural cycles learning curve while I bake vegan thumbprint cookies. So these cookies have a hint of lemon, and the thumbprint is going to be filled with strawberry jam. They're incredibly simple and easy to make, and I'm actually on my period right now, so they are going to hit the spot. I'm really excited to bake these. So the natural cycles learning curve, let's just talk about what that means and what that is. Really, it's simply the journey of learning what natural cycles is and how it works, as well as learning things about your body along the way. What I'm gonna do is just talk a little bit about my journey with natural cycles and my learning curve. For a little background on where I started, I was on the birth control pill for 10 years before I started natural cycles, and now I've been a natural cycles user for 2 years now. It really all started when I followed them on Instagram. I seriously learned more about my body than I ever had in my entire life just from their Instagram, which is honestly such a crazy thing and kind of sad if you really think of it. First and foremost, the number one thing I learned right away is that natural cycles is 93% effective with typical use and 98% effective with perfect use. No birth control is 100% effective. Perfect use with natural cycles means that you're either using another form of birth control on your red days, which is your fertile days, or you are abstaining from sex completely. And typical use would mean that you are having unprotected sex on your red days, your fertile days. So the two biggest things that I learned right away, this is at the very beginning of my learning curve, was that you can't get pregnant every day of your cycle, and that the period you experience while you're on the birth control pill is not a real period. These two things seriously shook me so much. They're actually two of the main factors that got me to make the switch finally, because I was honestly thinking of making the switch to a non-hormonal birth control for a really long time. I always thought of it, but I was so nervous and I just couldn't get myself to do it. But after learning those two things, it really kind of shook me up and changed everything. Like I said, I was on the pill for 10 years, so just the idea that my body hadn't experienced a real period in 10 years, I felt really uncomfortable with the thought of that. And just to clarify, the period that you experience on the pill or other forms of hormonal birth control, it's actually called withdrawal bleeding. And the birth control pill, you don't ovulate on it, so you cannot get a period. Which, by the way, I didn't even know that's how the pill worked. So yeah, that to me was like my big punch in the gut, the first tip of the iceberg, as you can say. I don't know about you, but when I was growing up, I always kind of assumed that women could get pregnant on literally any day possible, but that is just not true at all. The fertile window for the female body is about 6 days, because the day of ovulation, of course, which is when an egg is released, and that egg survives 24 hours, but then leading up to ovulation, you have to include sperm survival, which is about 5 days. So all in all, it's about 6 days your cycle that you are fertile. This is what my cookie dough is looking like. After learning those two facts alone, that was when I decided to make the switch and officially become a natural cycles user. Even though you only need to enter in your basal body temperature every morning for the natural cycles app to work, there are other trackers that I would highly recommend taking advantage of. The trackers are seriously what allowed me to truly learn my body and learn how I go through physical changes, emotional changes, all these changes throughout every phase of my cycle. You can track your cervical mucus, your skin, so if you're breaking out, you can track your sex drive, your mood, any pain you're in, things like that. The link between your mood and your cycle is such a crazy thing. They always say, like, if you think of like nature has seasons, you have fall, winter, spring, summer. It's kind of like that for our bodies, and each phase of your cycle is like a season, which I love because I am a nature gal and I just love nature so much. So it makes me feel even more connected to nature knowing that we're going through these changes. Not only did these trackers help me feel connected to my body, but it also helps my mental health, because I knew why I was feeling certain emotions and I was able to give myself what I needed based off these emotions. It was nice just to know that it wasn't out of the blue, and it was because my body was going through changes. And even till this day, I still have to nurture myself through each phase of my cycle. Every single month when I ovulate and I see my basal body temperature rise, I am never not shocked. I just think it's such a crazy thing to like wrap my head around, that your basal body temperature, which is, by the way, your body's lowest resting temperature, actually changes when you ovulate. The reason your body temperature slightly rises after ovulation is because the increase of the hormone progesterone. Your basal body temperature will stay slightly risen until you get your period, and then it will go right back to normal, which I witness this every single cycle, and I'm 2 years in and I'm still like, holy crap, like I can't believe this is happening. I'm gonna put these into the oven right now. They're gonna bake for about 15 minutes. So I'm gonna set a timer. Here are my cookies. They look so good. One of the last learning curves for me was honestly the fact that green days include sperm survival rate, because in the beginning I was actually really nervous to have unprotected sex on some of the last green days before your red days. It is scary to think about having unprotected sex on non-hormonal birth control on your last green day. That is, like I said, taking into account sperm survival, so you don't have to worry about that there. But yeah, that was kind of like my overall learning curve journey, and just looking back to where I started and where I am now, I will never get over it. Such a powerful thing to be so connected to your body and to actually know what's going on in your body. No matter what kind of birth control you're on, I think that just knowing these things is really useful in life. My cookies are basically done. I am just icing the last final one, and I will show you guys what they look like. Switching to natural cycles was one of the best things I have ever done. I don't regret anything about it. I'm so glad I decided to take this journey, and if I didn't even take this journey, I wouldn't be here baking cookies and talking to you. So yeah, thank you for joining me, and I hope you enjoy these cookies if you end up making them, because they're seriously so easy, so simple, and so delicious.